Hi everyone. Recently I played against Arena Roja, who started playing chess with me and installed lots of Kaisa on my unrest pieces of ice, which I kept trashing. Now I'm going to face a noise deck which involves lots of parasites spawning on my ice and trashing all my rest ice. Yes, this time I have to trash my rest ice instead of unrest ice. We'll see if I can make it out alive. We start off by a HQ run, which I immediately deny with Enigma. Thereafter, I begin icing up my servers, including archives, because I know that archive raiding is going to be a thing with lots of viruses installed. Actually, this was really a huge mistake on my part. What I should have done was to secure my remote server. I mean, a first turn Datasucker is always very scary because any piece of, if you do not secure your central servers, what will happen is that noise will continue to accumulate Datasucker tokens, which, when coupled with parasites and clone chips, allow for destruction of any piece of ice at any time. So yes, it's very, very powerful. The true counter to this strategy would probably be a power shutdown on the Datasucker, but unfortunately I'm not running any in this deck. I mean, you can't have the tools for everything. And as I'm about to see, my ice is going to get wrecked really hard. So I draw a lot of cards, and a lot of them are agendas, which makes me very sad because I have no ice to protect my remotes. I'm busy devoting my ice to the centrals. So I end up discarding a Bill and a restricted data pool, 5 points worth. Hopefully I'll draw a Jackson in the near future to reshuffle these agendas back in my hand, in the deck, along with any that have been milled by noise. I gave noise HQ access. Maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe. Yeah. Grimoire comes out, and that's very scary. The Parasite goes on my Data Raven, the only thing that is properly protecting my R&D at this point. I see a Bernice Mine, that has to go on R&D. I want to tag the runner. Hopefully I can get some Scorched Earths off. Now, I make a comment to the runner. Sahasrara is actually a very wonderful program for noise because a lot of the viruses that noise would typically use, such as IM, Datasucker, Medium, all of these have very low install costs. So if you install one every turn and use the credits from Sahasrara, you're essentially installing them for free, which is really incredible. Same thing with the parasites, especially if you're using parasite recursion as noise is doing here, using clone chips to bring the parasites back from the dead. It's a really effective strategy. The aim now comes out, and more cards are being milled. I can only sit and stare as my eyes start to dwindle. Luckily I have an Eli to stop any HQ runs, and a paper wall to stop any archive runs. Outside is also out, so now noise is losing tempo. I see a toll booth, but I don't really have the money to use it. So I'll just put it on my remote, and I'll score from there. As long as noise doesn't have a York out, I should be able to get stuff scored. My Data Raven goes away for good. And the Corroder comes out. I didn't see a Jackson at all, so I was forced to surrender the 5 points worth of agendas that I self-milled. What a pity. So I got a Sansan, that's definitely going in the remote. And I credit up. I mean, the other option would be to score breaking news from hand, but that's a very poor play because I'll be left with very little money. And he runs the remote, and of course trashes the Sansan with him. There's really nothing much I can do about it. I mean, yes, it's really a very poor play by me, but at this point I was just really struggling against the heavy pressure dealt by noise. I threw a Mark Ricker over the archives because I knew that more and more programs would be installed. Look at my ice. All my servers are 1 layer deep. Or rather 1 layer shallow. While he's gaining tempo by installing his corroder and mimic, I'm losing heavy tempo. I don't really have many credits, and my agendas are all in my hand, and I can't really do anything to score anything else. He destroys my Scorched Earth, scores a breaking news, and because he used a dirty laundry run, he's able to run HQ again to access all 3 cards. Well, he doesn't. Well, so be it. Yeah, because that was his last turn. But the end was near. I knew the end was near. I installed the Astro script in a remote that I could rest a toll booth above, but it would cost me most of my money. It was a very sad game. I'll say that much. He got his parasites back and started rampaging on my rare pieces of ice. So even my Eli with strength 4 couldn't withstand the pressure. He crumbled, and as I said, he got to see 3 of my cards, which meant instant victory. This was a very painful game. I don't really see what I could have done against this noise deck. Suggestions are more than welcome, but as far as I can see, noise is very strong against my deck because I use a lot of low strength ice, which can be easily broken by the Enarc Breaker Suite, or worse still, destroyed by parasites. Yeah. And I was kept poor. What was I to do? I don't know. You tell me. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll find a solution to this.